God bless America. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Thank you for joining me on this Friday morning. I know that this is not the last video that you have to get through of mine before the weekend, but I pray that you will sit tight, endure this day. The weekend is almost here. We're going to make it. This video is going to be... it should be pretty short. I just have a couple of things to point out about Al Franken's quote resignation speech, because there are a couple of things that he says that makes this not so much a resignation speech and not so much the speech that Democrats are wanting to make it out to be. So, first of all, we have the normal platitudes about women that are coming out, sharing their stories. I'm not going to call them empty platitudes because these are stories that need to be told, that should have been told long ago. I suppose better late than never in this case. But the first thing that he says that's a little off the track for the current Democrat politics is, some of the allegations against me are simply not true. Others I remember very differently. And the reason that this is off track is because he just said 2 paragraphs earlier, all women deserve to be heard and their experiences taken seriously. That is a wordier version of listen and believe. So Al Franken is obviously not believing when he says some of the allegations are simply not true, others I remember differently. I said at the outset that the Ethics Committee was the right venue for these allegations to be heard. That's because an Ethics Committee hearing takes about a year and nothing ever happens. Nobody's ever been expelled from the Senate because of an Ethics Committee hearing. So, obviously that's why he wanted to go down the Ethics Committee track. I was prepared to cooperate fully and was confident in the outcome. He's confident in the outcome because ethics committee hearings take a year and nothing ever happens. I'm proud that during my time in the Senate, I've used my power to be a champion of women, and I've earned a reputation as someone who respects the women I work alongside every day. See, even in the face of these accusations that he is, that he's groped women, that he's been exceedingly unpleasant in ways that are touching women in ways that they don't want to be touched. He's, first of all, not listening and believing, and now he's calling himself a champion of women. So you can see how, from the progressive mindset, this is extremely problematic, that a person who's been accused of all this stuff is not only not listening and believing, but still pretending to be a champion of women. Here's the big whopper. Nevertheless, today I'm announcing that in the coming weeks, I will be resigning as a member of the United States Senate. So not only has he given himself, he's given himself at minimum 14 days before he's going to resign. He didn't resign yesterday. He hasn't resigned today, and he's not going to resign, if you take him literally by this coming week's statement, at least 14 days. He's announced his intent to resign, so it's probably likely that, that's redundant, isn't it? It's probable that he intends to hold his Senate seat until the Minnesota governor has selected a replacement to take his seat. You could say that this speech is Al Franken's 2 weeks notice, and that's why he says coming weeks. But he's left the door open. Next week is the Alabama Senate election, and if Roy Moore gets in, you can be guaranteed that the Democrats are going to think that they have fully and completely 120,000% flipped the script on the family values Republicans. Because for the longest time, as long as I can remember, Republicans burn their sexual deviants at the stake. Herman Cain was burned at the stake when he was accused of sexual impropriety by a number of women in the 2012 primary. The only Republican that I can think of that has survived sexual impropriety accusations was Clarence Thomas. And I happen to be of the opinion that the only reason he survived is because they only brought one accusation against him. They have learned their lesson since then, and now they bring numerous allegations against Republicans when they want to take them out, i.e. Herman Cain, i.e. Donald Trump in the presidential election. I think they waited too long to bring the accusations against Trump. If they had brought the accusations against Trump in the primary, I think Republicans would have felt okay throwing him overboard, especially considering that there was still another outsider candidate in the primaries by the time we got to the end. I still think that Ted Cruz was a better candidate versus Hillary Clinton. Absolutely a better candidate versus Bernie Sanders, but the fact remains that Republicans being able to survive sexual impropriety accusations is a recent development. We've always burned our alleged sexual predators at the stake, regardless of the circumstances of the accusations. So, Franken is leaving the door open for the script to be flipped and himself to stay in the Senate. Whoever goes into the Senate in his place is not going to vote any differently than he would have, by the way. The Democrats march exclusively on party lines, especially in the Senate. And it makes no difference whether Franken stays in the seat or not. He wants to be in the seat, is the reason he's given himself this out. And then he launches into attacking the Republicans. I, of all people, am aware that there is some irony in the fact that I am leaving while a man who has bragged on tape about his history of sexual assault sits in the Oval Office, and a man who has repeatedly preyed on young girls campaigns for the Senate with the full support of his party. I got distracted by the noise and the notification, excuse me. So first of all, we can parse these scenarios if you desire. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but technically, candidate Trump said that women let him do this because he's a celebrity. He did not say, I sexually assault women, I take advantage of women, I do these things without their consent. He specifically said, that I just kissed them, I grabbed them by the P word, and in effect he said, they let me because I'm rich and famous. He did not say, I do these things to women against their consent. Technically speaking, the alleged misconduct against him is just that. It's alleged. It has not been verified. It's a big reason why he was elected in the presidential race. I think that with Trump, we're seeing a turning point in the Republican mindset that we don't have to burn our elected officials at the stake for alleged misconduct. That if the case can hold that they did not do these things, if the allegations remain simply allegations, Republican voters seem to be willing to look past the allegations and vote for a person anyway. And that perhaps could be the case with Roy Moore. The last I heard in the polls was that Roy Moore was 10 points ahead of the Democrat. Now, in Alabama, that's not a good thing, to be sure. However, it shows that he's recovered from the November surprise, I guess you could say. that's all that I wanted to say about this speech. To recap just real quickly, Franken is an avowed feminist who is an ardent believer in listen and believe, who is not listening and believing, who is in fact impugning the accounts of some of these women, who has given himself an out to stay in the Senate, and took this opportunity to attack men who are accused of sexual impropriety only. There is some circumstantial evidence that I'm aware of. However, the case is not solid, especially not as solid as it is against Al Franken. Thank you guys for watching this morning. Make sure you hit like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so that you don't miss this afternoon's video or possible videos. There's been a lot of things in the news recently that I intend to get to. Again, thank you for watching. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.